What is up everyone, Personality here, bringing you all the news from the wider fighting game community, whether it's from a casual or competitive perspective. Now before we dive into today's discussion, I want to just give you guys a quick update on what's been happening in the last 2 weeks why I haven't uploaded. But basically, I was a bit saddened, I really wanted to implement live stream content into this channel, maybe even on Twitch, but unfortunately I lost the equipment to do that. It got thrown out, unfortunately. So I won't be able to implement the live streams as I wanted for now. But I think we've got a good thing going here, I've still got the content to upload. You guys still support me. And, I don't want that to hamper the momentum that we had going, but it did a bit, it did affect me. However, in that time, I was able to play a lot of Guilty Gear Strive, in my little depression. And I want to talk about the changes that Season 3 made today. So we don't have to go in depth because by now I'm probably sure that most of you have already seen these patch notes and have already experienced what's been going on in Season 3 thus far, with the new changes to the map. Characters got new moves. Some characters really didn't benefit, but online matches have been changed a bit. There's more visual indicators. The servers are still kind of giving some issues because there was this funny time I was actually playing Strive the same time while looking at a Diaphone stream. He was actually I think he was playing Johnny at the time, and my game crashed. My server, my match crashed, his match crashed, and I was like, okay, it's not me. It's clearly Guilty Gear and their servers. I don't know what ArcSys is trying to keep their servers together with, but it's clearly falling apart. Now, one thing that I wish I could have seen a change to was the character select screen. It's still kind of got that, it's a bit boring. It could have been arguably changed and updated as well, but it's the same, so we're gonna deal with it. But overall, the universal mechanics and changes, I appreciate them all, but the one that I'm really into and the one that I digged the most was the change to damage scaling. When Season 3 was first announced, that was one of my biggest things that I had. If I had a wish list, I just wanted ArcSys to adjust the way damage is dealt with in Guilty Gear. It's a bit ridiculous. I think we could all agree that prior to Season 3, Guilty Gear felt like a touch of death game. It still pretty much is. If you don't know what you're doing and your opponent is in your head rent-free, you're gonna get perfected in like 10 seconds. But I think the changes to damage have been I love them. First of all, command grabs don't do as much damage as before. Forward approaching moves have been nerfed a bit. Overdrives, most of the overdrives have seen, some a little patching up. They don't do as much damage, but overall the base damage scaling on a lot of moves have been increased. And the icing on the cake are the new mechanics in Wild Assault and Deflect Shield, and then you just complement that all with how the burst gauge operates now. Full screen burst, and then on top of that, gold burst. It doesn't just give you back all your attention or just increase it, it puts you into a positive bonus state, which also has an effect on your burst gauge. So I appreciate these changes. I really love these changes. Everybody was telling me, nah, there's not gonna be any damage decrease. The time for that has gone past. This is just how Guilty Gear Strive is now. But ArcSys said, Personality and many others hold this blessing, and they just bestowed onto us these different changes. And I think that it made the game a little bit more intuitive, in the sense that you can afford to get hit. Before, I always felt like the moment I got hit on Guilty Gear Strive, it was over. It's a done deal. I don't have any burst gauge. I can't do nothing. And I'm dead. However, there's still a chance to come back. I mean, it's always been a chance to come back in dire situations, but now it just feels a bit more noob friendly for people like me, the beginners, it's definitely a bit more noob friendly because now you actually are still in the game. You don't necessarily have to go and blame the beast immediately. Reflect on yourself, see what you're doing wrong, and get back in there, because now there's a much better opportunity for you to survive. Now, the removal of weight I think definitely took away a bit of uniqueness for Guilty Gear. And for those of you who don't know, weight was a kind of hidden feature that had been applied to lighter and heavier characters. Similar to kind of how Smash has it to a certain extent. But what weight did was that you would then have to see how you do your combos differently, because characters would launch higher or maybe launch lower. There was more combo potential on one set of characters than there was. They've removed that, so it's just everybody has a standard weight. The thing that you've been labbing for me will work on Potemkin. That's just how they wanted to get that going. And you know, there was a removed counter effect for special moves that follow into other special moves. Overall, I think these are some welcome changes. But what have I been doing with these changes? Now, I've been a fan of Sin for a long time, especially since Exode. He really grew on me in terms of the story mode, but now implemented in Strive, just like Bedman, they feel like they finally got added to the game. Now, Sin is much tighter with combos. He has much less reliance on his tension gauge because, I mean, he could get that started up with Wild Assault now, and on top of that, going into overdrive moves don't cost that tension meter if you were about to Rekka into them. So Sin has been great for me. I've been having some nice sets. I mean, I'm not in Celestial, but trust and believe I've been enjoying my time playing Sin. Originally, a character that I really wanted to play was Zato. Zato kind of got the bad end of it, but you know, Zato players have always been resilient. They downplayed their character until the character became the character that they always speak about. But I don't think that has affected Zato to the point where he's just horrible. I definitely think that, of course, he's still a technical character, always has been. But this just increases the chances of you having to play a much more careful game. Maybe they wanted to make the puppeteer feel a bit uneasy when your ability to control your puppet is no longer there. I mean, there have been some rough changes to Zato, but the players who have been playing Zato for all this time, they ain't really complaining, you know. Bedman saw the big buffs in terms of his errors still carrying over when wall breaks happen, and overall different damage has been added to Bedman, and I think he does benefit from this Wild Assault addition, this new mechanic. But overall, I think Guilty Gear Strive, especially with Season 3, especially with the fact that now they have a new edition of Guilty Gear where you could just buy the game. I think it's priced at $100, and you would be able to get all the DLC characters, the base game and the DLC so far, and of course the 3 other characters to come. Speaking of which, we can't talk about Season 3 without talking about Johnny, right? Johnny's here, and I've been playing some Johnny, and I've been playing against Johnny. Trust and believe this is a fun character to pilot and a fun character to play against. I mean, it's just so entertaining to see Johnny on the screen. He has some amazing voice lines, especially when he says Miss Finer. You know, all of those things. You will hear Miss Finer a lot from Johnny. I mean, every time he uses that damn move, it's a Miss Finer. But I definitely think that these additions have made Guilty Gear see a second resurgence, you know. It's been definitely doing a lot when it came out, and then it's just got this new breath of fresh air added to it. It's a fresh breath of fresh air, right? Breath of fresh air, which leaves me and many speculating what more is to come for Season 3. And we already know that they've got to fix the online issues. So they're already tackling the Hackerman issue. They're adding a new level in terms of ranked. ELO is actually back. I think as of maybe 2 days ago, ELO has been brought back into Guilty Gear. So all of us who are already anxious about our ranking can get even more anxiety about that once you reach that certain threshold of being one of the big boys in Guilty Gear Strive. But I think for the rest of the characters, who I want to see is definitely Slayer. I don't think Slayer is the next character. I want to see Slayer. I just don't think he's the next one to come. I'm not sure, but there's been a lot of talks that people are speculating on Jam, Abba, and Zappa. I don't know out of these 3, but I'm feeling for Zappa. For some reason, I think Zappa might be the next character we get. But Slayer, I'd probably put Slayer around the 3rd DLC. Some people are saying that most likely they're holding on to Dizzy to be the last part of the DLC because waifus create sales, and you know, that's exactly what we want to happen to Guilty Gear. A lot of people are like, I don't even want Dizzy because she's a waifu. I just miss Dizzy. You know, that was genuinely somebody's main. But I definitely think season 3 did some good things for Guilty Gear. And if you're wondering, if you're on the fence to play Guilty Gear, if the fact that you have enough curiosity to sit down and look at videos of Guilty Gear and wonder if this game is for you, just buy the game. I think it's a very easy series to get into, especially with the damage nerfs and overall changes and universal mechanics being introduced in season 3. Now is a better time more than ever to get into Guilty Gear because everybody's learning this game a bit more again, you know, with all these new features, and you have the opportunity to learn with them. But guys, that's all I really want to talk about in today's video. I mean, I'm sorry for the break, but we're back. You know, we've got a lot to discuss next week, especially with, there's been some tournament controversy I've been following. We got to discuss that. A lot of things are happening next week. In fact, early access to Mortal Kombat is coming out, and me and Proxseed will be on that. If you don't know about Proxseed, that's my bro. Go check out his channel. He does interesting videos on RPGs. He's getting into that upload schedule, but we will be on Mortal Kombat, flaming or getting flamed by many people online. But you know, that's how it goes. I'll see you guys next week. Well, actually, I'll see you in the next video, but until then, stay gaming.